Okay, good afternoon. Today's shir is Le'ela Nishmas, Elimelech ben Levi Yitzchak, Yaakov ben Chava, Osher Shmuel Chaim ben Ephraim, Sida ben Chaim Pesach, William and Helen, Le'ela Nishmas Rochel bas Yosef, David ben Avraham, Fred ben Richard, Avram ben Mordechai David, Ruven ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael, Yaakov ben Fega, Yaakov Chaim ben Fega, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Yeshua ben Shmuel, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Leila Nishmas Zalman Lei ben Moshe, Leila Nishmas Amichai ben Yaakov, Leila Nishmatam. Today's shir is, may a Kohen visit his mummy at the Israel Museum. We have a show and tell. We have a picture of a live mummy, a dead mummy. Picture of a real live dead mummy. I actually saw him, boy. It's just amazing. The other day we went to see him. The question is, may a Kohen, who's not allowed to come in contact with a dead person, may a Kohen see and visit his mummy at the Israel Museum? Okay? So the Rambam tells us, you don't have it on your sheets, we're not up to the sheets, not yet. The Rambam tells us in Hilchos Tumas Meis, chapter 1, Echot HaMeis miYisrael oy min hagoy mitama v'magamasa. The Rambam tells us that a dead Jew, like a dead non-Jew, if you touch him or carry him, you become tamei. Right. But the ein hagoy mitama ba'ohel. The difference is, if you touch a dead non-Jew, you become tamei like you touch a dead Jewish person. You become tamei for 7 days, and today we're all tamei, and we can't get out of it unless we have a red cow ashes, not mad cow ashes, red cow ashes. So we're all Tomei Meis today, right? Now the Rambam says, V'dova zeh b'Kabbalah. How do we know that a non-Jew is not metama tumas ohel? That if you walk under the same roof with a dead non-Jew, how do you know you don't become tamei? So the Rambam says, you learn it out from the wars of Midian. The Jews were coming back when they went to fight against the Midian, the first terrorist, right? So there the Torah says, Kol negeya b'chalal. The Torah says that the IDF soldiers coming back from killing the terrorist, anyone that touched a dead terrorist, touched him, came in contact with him by carrying him and touching him, becomes tamei. V'lo hisker tumas ohel. By the war against Midian, when the IDF soldiers were engaged in fighting the terrorists, it just mentions coming in contact with a dead person by touching. Doesn't mention tumas ohel. So the Rambam learns from there that a non-Jew, a dead non-Jew, only defiles by touching, but not by being under the same roof. So therefore, according to the Rambam in chapter 1 of Tumas Meis, then a Kohen is permitted to see his mummy in the Israel Museum as long as Nechama don't touch. Look but don't touch, okay? So a non-Kohen can even touch, right? Because the Isser, who can touch the dead mummy, right? The Isser of coming in contact with a dead person, that's only on Kohanim. Non-Kohanim don't have a prohibition of coming in contact with a dead person. So therefore, if we go visit the mummy, someone who's not a Kohen is permitted to what? Even touch the dead mummy, not a problem. But a Kohen is permitted to view the mummy, John, as long as he doesn't what? Hands off. Because the Rambam tells us in chapter 1 of Tumas Meis that a dead non-Jew is not metama tumas ohel. If you're under the same roof with the mummy, as long as you don't touch him, you do not become tamei. For us it doesn't matter, but it matters for Kohanim. So Kohanim are permitted to visit the museum and see the mummy, even though they're under the same roof, as long as they don't touch the mummy. Now, the Kesef Mishnah wonders why the Rambam paskins this way. There's a machlokes between the Rosh Shimon bar Yochai and the Chachamim. The Shimon bar Yochai says that a dead non-Jew is not metama tumas ohel, but the Chachamim disagree. The Chachamim say what? That even a dead non-Jew is also tamei according to what? What? Tumas ohel. So according to Chachamim, a Kohen would not allow to visit his mummy in the Israel Museum because they hold that what? that a non-Jew is also defiles Tumas Oyel. So the Kesef Mishnah wonders, how come the Rambam rules against the Chachamim? Right? Avraham, we have a klal, Yochid v'Rabim, Halacha Karabim. We have a klal, right, Ruvain, when the majority and the minority disagree, even though the minority is the great Rashbi, right? Doesn't matter. But if the Chachamim argue with him and they say that what? That a dead non-Jew also defiles Tumas Oil, how could the Holy Rambam rule against the Chachamim in favor of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, even though he's a superstar, but he's only what? One. The Kesef Mishnah wonders. And he answers with a very strange story. It sounds like a story out of the Twilight Zone. By the way, Rod Serling, who was Jewish, did get many of his episodes, Sarah, from the Talmud.
Really?
Right, I don't want to elaborate on it, but there's so many episodes you can actually see the Talmudic Agarata stories in the Twilight Zone.
Yep.
Yes. What?
I had the color of meeting him in a men's room in Los Angeles.
Those days there were no. What? Those days no gender different. So anyway, the Kesef Mishnah wonders, how could the Rambam rule against the majority in the minority opinion? So he brings a strange Gemara in Bava Metzia, page 114. Bava Metzia, page 114 tells us the great sage Rabbi saw Eliyahu Hanavi standing near a grave, a bet kvarot shel goyim, under the tree where the branch was hanging over. You know, if you go to Bar Ilan Street, there's a sign, Kohanim are not allowed to walk under that. Those tree branches are protruding from what? From the cemetery in Bar Ilan Street, Sanhedria, so Kohanim are warned to cross the street. Because even though you're not in the cemetery, if the branches hang over from the cemetery, that's called Tumas Oyel. So Rabbi saw Eliyahu Hanavi was standing near a bet kvarot shel goyim, under a tree there. And Rabbi said to him, Bava Metzia 114, great Eliyahu Hanavi, aren't you a Gilgal of Pinchas, right? And Pinchas was what? A Kohen. So what are you doing there, right? Bet kvarot shel goyim, right? So he tells him, don't you know in heaven we paskin like Rav Shimon ben Yochai, Yidisera. You're not tuned into the right channel. In heaven, we rule like Rav Shimon ben Yochai. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Pamalyo Shamala, and he has a majority of angels on his side. Yeah. So they rule. Okay, that's another story. You're right. You're right. But here, you're right. But this is what the Kesef Mishnah brings, and the halacha, God's and the Pamalyo Shamala and Yeshiva Shamalia say that the halacha follows the Rashbi, and therefore Kivrei Goyim Eina betama tumas oyel. Okay, Kivrei Goyim and not betama tumas oyel, and therefore Eliyahu Hanavi says I have a right to be there. Yehuda Lev is asking a great question. We know that Ruvain, who will decide? Loi b'shamayim. Remember the Gemara Bava Metzia, page 59. Right, a heavenly voice came out and said the halacha is like Rabbi Elazar. So the rabbi said, "Excuse me, God, don't mix in our business. We decide the halacha down here. Loi b'shamayim he." Right? And the Jews have chutzpah. They vetoed or outvoted God. So Yehuda Lev is asking a good question. But anyway, but that's the halacha. The Rambam paskins like the Rashbi, because Eliyahu Hanavi paskins like him, that Kivrei Goyim are not metama tumas ohel, and therefore halacha l'maisa, Kohen is permitted to see the money as long as he doesn't touch. Okay?
Are we dealing with the same level of Zman Hazeh that at the time of the in terms of the Isur? Is it the Deraisa we're talking about?
Very good, Rabbi Abramson. He's asking a good question. The Rambam's opinion is that even though a Kohen is already Tameh, because we're all Tameh, every time he comes in contact with a dead person, he has another Issa Deraita. So the Rambam's, I'll give it to my language, a person ate one cheeseburger. Can he eat another one? Why not? He ate a cheeseburger already. Or he ate bacon. So the Rambam says every time you eat bacon again, every time you eat a cheeseburger again, Chanoch, it's another sin. So the Rambam's opinion is that therefore every time a Kohen comes in contact with a dead person today, even though you're Tomei anyway, but it's like eating a cheeseburger again and again. Every time it's what? a different prohibition in Issa D'Oraita, Rabbi Abramson, according to the Rambam. Okay, so the question that Ben Ish Chai asks, Rabbi Ruvain, is what is Eliyahu Navi doing in a Goyish cemetery? He has nothing better to do than to hang out in a cemetery of non-Yidden. I mean, we want him here in the OU. What's he hanging out, Lillian? What's he hanging out in a cemetery of Goyim, no less?
Because he can't hang out in a Jewish cemetery.
So the Ben Ish Chai, Rivka, answers as follows. The Ben Ish Chai answers as follows. In this Goyish cemetery, Shirley, there were Rishoyim, Goyish Rishoyim, who had done favors for Yidden. They had done chasodim for Yidden, but they were Rishoyim. But they did favors for Jews, Yiddish Madi. So Eliyahu Navi came to protect them from Malachei Chabalah. Remember the movie Ghost? What happens when a person dies? What's waiting for him on the other side? We make the call, right? So a person does sins. The Mishnah says in Masechta Avos, the sin takes on a life of its own, and waiting for him on the other side is what? Is that sin that he created. So even though these Goyim were Rishoyim, but they did chasadim for Yidden, says the Ben Ish Chai. So Eliyahu Navi came to protect them from Malachei Chabalah. How do we say that in English? Malachei Chabalah. Angels of what? Haunting angels, angels of destruction. Remember the song, Devil or Angel? I'm dating myself. But wait for us on the other side, Moshe. Devil or angel, we decide. The Mishnah Avos says so. Every time you do a mitzvah, you're creating what? An angel. The Mishnah Avos chapter 4, and every time you do an Aveira, Lo Yaleinu, what's waiting for you on the other side, Lo Yaleinu? A devil. That's the movie Ghost. The guy who wrote that also studied in the yeshiva. The guy who wrote the script for Ghost. But anyway, that's why the Jews invented Hollywood, Shirley.
That's right.
That's right. Because every one of us is a star, right? Every one of us is a star. So we invented Hollywood, right?
A modern situation.
Go ahead.
A Kohen today.
Right.
Saved by the Nazis.
What?
I mean, saved by the Goyim. The Goyim during the war.
Yeah.
They hit him or whatever. He goes to Europe.
Right.
And the person died. And he wants to pay honor to that person who saved him from Auschwitz.
So again, the guy who saved him is a non-Jew, right?
Absolutely.
So he's allowed to go as long as he doesn't touch the coffin. If he's under the same roof, it's Beseder. Because the Rambam Paskins, Eliyahu Navi, that a Kohen can see the mummy, can be under the same roof with a dead non-Jew, as long as he doesn't what? Touch the body. Because Kivrei Goyim and not Metama Tumas Ohel. That's how the Rambam rules, like the Rashbi and Eliyahu Navi. Okay, so that's the halacha. So he can go as long as he doesn't touch the coffin. Okay, so let's take a look at our sheets now. On the side that says, what does the side say? Are the Israel Museum's idols kosher? Now, you see, it's the side that says, are the Israel Museum's idols kosher, or are the Taliban right? Remember what the Taliban did to the... Now, in the Israel Museum, Sarah, I saw many, many getchkes. You know, all shapes and sizes, you know, made out of stone, wood. Are we permitted to look at them? And what about the workers who dust them off? You know, Jewish workers who work in the museum, they're permitted to dust off the idols that are there. There are a lot of idols there. I don't mean teen idols. David, I don't mean teen idols. But Avodah Zarah, David, is Osher Bahana. You know what that means? You can't enjoy no benefit. Are you allowed to stare and admire the getchka? You're deriving benefit. And can the Jewish worker dust off the idol? Right? So that's the question that we have to deal with. And can I pay money to the Israel Museum to view the idols? This is not a problem for a Kohen, Ruvain. This is a problem for every Jewish person. Part of his money that he pays for the ticket goes to dust off the idols. Idols are Osa Bahana. So, we got a problem, Elisheva, okay? But stay tuned.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, go ahead.
But are those still idols?
So that's what we're going to talk about, Ruvain. If you take a look at the source number 1, which says Avodah Zorah Atika. See that? Avodah Zorah Atika. On the side where it says the Israel Museum's idol is kosher. So you have that. The first source, Tosefta. Goy she'osa avodah zora muteres achis abed. Lefikach yochel levatla. A goy, a non-Jew, can cancel the idol. You hear? A non-Jew can verbally cancel the idol. How does he verbally cancel the idol? Look at this source Halacha Zayin, the second one on the page. Halacha Zayin, Ketzad Mevatla, Rameir Oimer Achi Yakeh Bekornos Vayachal. If he, you see many idols there in the museum, Doctor, you see that they're defaced.
Wow.
It's incredible. I noticed that. I went from idol to idol. And I've noticed, Ruvain, that many of them were defaced.
That's right.
Why is that? Look at the Halacha Zayin. Ketzad Mevata, Rameir says, if you take a hammer and you smash a little bit part of the idol, that's how a non-Jew is able to what? Mevatel. So it's no longer called an idol, now it's just a piece of stone. You hear?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Now, that's only Avodah Zorah Shel Goy. Avodah Zorah Shel Yisrael Ein B'Teila Eilomis. A Jew cannot cancel an idol. Strange as it sounds. A non-Jew is able to cancel an idol by chipping part of it. But if the idol belongs to a Jew, the Jew cannot cancel that idol. That remains an idol for all time. Very strange, right? Yes. So again, a non-Jew can cancel the idol by chipping, defacing it. But a Jew can't do that. Even if a Jew defaces his own idol, it still has a status of what? Of Avodah Zarah. So let's hope that those idols in the museum, Chanoch Hawat, belong to non-Jews. Right? They're defaced by non-Jews, and therefore they're kosher for us. What?
Does the non-Jew, in a sense, deface the Yedinah by adopting Yedinah?
What?
Deface idol worship.
As long as he's not Jewish, he can deface the idol, and by doing that, he can change the status from an idol to a piece of stone or a piece of wood. Okay?
Rabbi,
Yes?
I used to think that those idols were that way. I mean, I knew this later about the facing.
Right.
But I didn't know. I thought maybe they were just off time, that they just...
Well, why? Well, but you see the defacing, the nose is missing or the eye is punctured. You see that. It looks like somebody defaced them. Perhaps this is the reason why. So let's take a look at the last source on the page. You see it says Rambam, there's a check there, right? Do you have that? The last source on the page, last source. Rambam Hilchos Avodas Kachavim. You have that? Avodah Zorah Shel Goyim Shebitla Goyim Koidim Shetov Leidei Yisrael. An idol of a non-Jew that the non-Jew was mevatel it before it got to Jewish hands. Hareze Muteres Bahana. David, this solves the problem. An idol of a non-Jew that the non-Jew was mevatel it before it got in Jewish hands in the Jewish museum. Hareze Muteres Bahana. That idol is permitted to what? To derive benefit from it and even to dust it off. Because it's no longer considered an idol because the non-Jew had what? Had canceled it. Defaced it, canceled it, and no longer has a status of what? Of an idol, right? Now the Rambam brings a pasuk. The Torah says if you get a hold of an idol, you're supposed to burn it with fire when it comes to our hands, right? So that's if it's called Eloheihem. That's if the Goyim still give it a status, Maddie, of what? Of a deity.
What if they don't deface?
One second, we'll talk. The Hein Ogem Ba'ilhus, Avlim Batlam, it's no longer considered an idol. Once the Goyim have defaced it or stopped worshiping it, it's no longer called an idol, and therefore it is what? It is permitted for a Jew to what? To benefit and even go see it at the Israel Museum. Okay? Now if you turn the page over, this is the Rambam in Hilchos Avodah Zarah, Ketzad Mevatla. You see that? Keitzad mevatla, kata rosh ozna. You cut off part of the ear, rosh chatma, and you'll notice I went around looking, John, it's amazing, these idols, Islam Museum, it pays to go. You see that part of the ear is broken, or the nose is cut off, or a finger is missing. So it looks like the guy who did that studied this Rambam, right? So if you deface the idol by cutting off part of the ear, or the nose, or a finger, you hear that? Hareza b'teila. Hareza b'teila, then this idol is no longer called an idol, and if it's kosher for you, we don't need the Taliban to blow it up. It's kosher for what? For a Jew to view it, or even to dust it off, right? Now, I think Maddie asked me the question, right? Does he have to deface it? Is there another way where the idol can what? Lose its status even if the goy doesn't deface it? Yes. Look at the next source, Maddie. Avodah Zarah, you have that? There's a Rambam Hilchos Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah shenicha v'del. The pagans abandoned this deity. They left it. V'shas sholoi muteres bahana. If they abandoned the deity and they left it and during peacetime, this idol can permit it to benefit. Sharei batlua. If they left it in peacetime, there's no reason that they left it except that what? They cancel it. So therefore, even if the idol's not defaced, it is Sarah, even though the idol's not defaced, if non-Jews abandon this idol during peacetime, it becomes bottled from itself, because by abandoning it, it no longer has any status of an idol. It's strange, only a goy can do that. A Jew can never cancel an idol, David. A Jew can never cancel an idol, we'll see. Only a goy can do that. B'shas milchama asura. But if the goyim abandon the idol during wartime, it still has a status of an idol. They abandoned it not because they stopped worshiping it, but they were afraid of the war, they ran away. Avodah Zarah sheshnizmera me'alea. The Avodah Zarah broke on its own, right? If nobody broke it and nobody canceled it, it's still usher. Yiddish? So the lefikach hamotzi shivrei Avodah Zarah surim b'ino. Shema, maybe the goy did not cancel it. So how do you know for sure? Did he or didn't he? That's the $64 question, remember? Does she or doesn't she? Remember that? I'm dating myself. Sarah. So, so maybe these idols were what? Broken by themselves, Lillian. If that's the case, then they still have, we're back to square one. How could you go to the Israel Museum and dust off or pay money to see the idols? The Rambam says here, if the idols were defaced by themselves, then they still have the status of what? And they're idols.
Rabbi,
yes?
if you say that a Jew cannot cancel an idol.
Right, Jew cannot.
Only Jewish idols or also their...
Any idols. You see that. A Jew cannot cancel any idol. Right? Once a Jew worshipped an idol, he's stuck with it. It always has a status, and only a goy can cancel an idol. A Jew cannot do that. Okay? What? Yes? You can destroy it. Right?
Canceling it.
Didn't Abraham, remember? He babysat the idols, remember? And he smashed it, then he came back. His father said, what happened? So he put the axe in the hand of the biggest idol. So, yeah, but even a non-Jew can worship idols. One of the seven, keep the seven, go to heaven. Even non-Jews are not allowed to worship idols, right? So, no, Noach was before. Keep the seven, go to heaven, right? The Noachide laws. What?
Christianity, is that idol worship?
Well, that's a whole different issue.
Yes.
For Jews, it's idolatry. Christianity for Jews is idolatry. What about for non-Jews? Right? For Jews, Christianity is 100% idolatry. For non-Jews, it's machlokas the Rambam and Rabbeinu Tam. Okay? The Rambam says that Christianity, even for non-Jews, is also considered idolatry. Rabbeinu Tam says that Christianity for non-Jews is not idolatry. So Baruch Hashem, everybody agrees that Christianity for Jews is idolatry. We all agree that. Machlokas is if non-Jews. The Rambam says that non-Jews, Christianity is also idolatry. The Rabbeinu Tam disagrees. He says that non-Jew Christianity is not idolatry because the pasuk Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Shema Yisrael. Only a Jew has to believe in the absolute unity of God. Hashem Echad, Shema Yisrael. A non-Jew, as long as he believes in God, he also believes in Shituf. I think it's called Trinity. So Rabbeinu Tam says for non-Jews, it's not idolatry. For Jews, it is. But for non-Jews, it's not, because Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that's Shema Yisrael.
Are they keeping the 7?
But the Rambam disagrees. The Rambam says that even for non-Jews, Christianity is also what? Idolatry. But Baruch Hashem, everybody agrees for Jews, Christianity is idolatry. The question is, what about non-Jews? Yes?
See, the thing is that Rambam lived in a what?
The Rabbeinu Tam lived in a Christian society, right?
When I first met with Tom,
Lived in a Christian society, right?
there were other, you know,
Okay.
the Meiri and the Mo, they all Muslim.
That's right. Right? Yes?
If there's an idol in the today in Israel Museum,
A teen idol? What? Yeah.
if there's an idol in the museum today,
There is, not if.
wait, I'm finished the sentence.
Yeah.
The last guy who worshipped it died 3,000.
Stay tuned. Rabbi Yaakov, you're mechavan to Chazoin Ish. Stay tuned. You're mechavan to Chazoin Ish, okay? Let me get there, okay, before time runs out. Okay? Okay, let's skip down to Shulchan Aruch. You have that, Yehuda? Where's Shulchan Aruch, people? Shulchan Aruch, Yeridei, Hilchas Avodas Kachavim, right? Tell me when you're there. Shulchan Aruch, Yeridei, middle of the page. Hilchas Avodas Kachavim, right? Avodas Kachavim shall oived Kachavim, shebit oived Kachavim teres. An idol that a non-Jew canceled is muteres. It's permitted to have in your house.
What?
Even in your house, Shoshana, don't look at me like I'm not joking. Oived kachavim shall oived kachavim. A paperweight, a non-Jew, an idol of a non-Jew that a non-Jew canceled, muteres. Shelley, what does muteres mean? You could have it in your house and use it as a paperweight. Avol Yisrael, it's underlined, no Chava? Underline, Avol Yisrael, a Jew cannot cancel an idol of a non-Jew. The Koshkein shall Yisrael shein lo bitlo elamis. A Jew cannot cancel an idol of a goy, and certainly if it's a Jewish idol, it never can be canceled. So let's a Jewish idol, like the golden calf. A Jewish idol, the golden calf, wasn't that made by Jews? Didn't Aaron, incredible, made by Jews, for Jews. We want to gloss over that. We forget that Aaron Kohen made the Egel. He made the golden calf disco for Jews, right? So that can't be canceled. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu had no choice but to what? Burn, baby, burn, and then grind it up, right? Right?
If the idols are made by Jews, what's their status?
It's an idol. You can't get rid of it unless you destroy it completely. That's why Moshe had no choice but to grind it up. He made tchina out of it. David, he made tchina out of it. Right? He made gold dust and he gave the Jews to drink like a sota. Very strange, right? So let's get to the Chazoin Ish over here. Whether you can go to Israel Museum idols or not. Maybe the Yiddish idols there. Shoshana, if they're Yiddish idols, Moshe, we got a problem.
If the Goyish idol has been properly canceled by the Goy.
So that's the Chazoin Ish. Let's take a look. Chazoin Ish, 60 years ago, at the Israel Museum then, I don't know, he didn't have it there. But anyway, he's writing here, Chazoin Ish Yeridei. You have that? Chazoin Ish Yeridei. Oived kachavim shenicha avodeha b'shas shalom materes. If a non-Jews abandon their idol in peacetime, you can take it in your home and use it as a paperweight. B'shas milchama asura. But if they abandon it during wartime, it still has a status of an idol. Nireh, it appears to me, says the Chazoin Ish, the ein zeh midin bittel, the kota rosh ozna. It's not because of bittul, because they didn't deface it. They didn't deface it, so how come if they abandon it, why is it mutar, Mickey? They didn't deface it. Says the great Chazon Ish, a super Haredi rabbi. Elatama, the kol shavadoseo nizbatla midei avadei mutar. You hear the tremendous heter? If there no longer anybody who worships this idol, even though Yehuda's not defaced, if there's no living survivor that still worships this getchka, mutar. The great Chazon Ish says that. Right? It's this battle, it cancels itself out because there's no one left from 2,000 years ago that worships then. You hear what he's saying? What? So therefore, yeah. Yeah. So what's he saying over here? You find an abandoned idol, right? It's muteres. It's muteres. So, Rabbi Abrahamson, you can adopt an old idol. Adopt an old idol, Abraham.
I think this every time actually the Bible ends, they have a
word there. They make good paperweights. You adopt an old idol. According to the Chazon Ish, you can what? Adopt an idol, because even though it's not defaced, first of all, it's defaced. And even Shelley, if it's not defaced, since there's no, Chazon Ish said, since there's no one, right, who's still alive who worships that idol, nisbata midei of their mutar. No one worships that idol today, so automatically it becomes what? It becomes mutar.
What if somebody adopts it too and starts Irish?
One second, what? Now, here, the punchline. Rabbi Abraham, you see the punchline? Va'akum shel akum. You see that, how he writes it? Va'akum shel akum. Avodah zora of a goy. Shenishara beloy avdin. That is left without what? Reuben, you have it underlined it. You see that? As long as it's a goyish getchke, a Yiddish getchke, Avram, we got a problem. But assuming it's a goyish getchke from a goy, shenishara beloy avdin, it's left nebuch. Nobody's there to worship it. For the last 2,000 years, all the worshippers are long gone. What's the next word? Muteret. Muteret. Yiddish lingi. We can go adopt a getchke, or at least go pay and see it. Muteres. Who gives me the heter? The Chazon Ish, Lillian. No less than the Chazon Ish. Again, akum shalakum, avodah zora of a goy, shenishara, that is left below avdin. It's left nebech with no one to worship it. Muteres. It's permitted to view. It's permitted even to have in your house, because now it has a din like what? A piece of stone. A paperweight. Now, that's only by what? Goyish idols. But let's say the pesel belonged to a Jew, Chava. If the pesel belonged to a Jew, we have a problem. Because a Jew, even though no one's around to worship it, if it's a Jewish-owned idol, it remains forbidden forever and can never be canceled. So maybe the getchkes in the Israel Museum belong to Yidden. So you have to say Ruvain Batel Barav. You have to work with Rav. We have a cloud Batel Barav. You know what that means, Mickey? Batel Barav. The vast majority of getchkes found here were the Canaanites. Batel Barav. Min HaTorah it's Batel Barav. So it's more than Shishim even here. So since Rav of the what? Sarah, Rav of the getchkes found belong to what? Non-Jews. So we can assume that the minority, it doesn't matter. It's called Batel Barav. Right? Like you have a chulin pot, Maddie, a big chulin pot, and then some milk spills into your chulin pot full of meat. Batel b'shishim, it becomes neutralized. So you have to say that these Yiddish idols become vaporized and neutralized because what? The vast majority of idols are what? Goyish. So therefore we have a heter to go see, and the workers who work at Yehuda are permitted to what? To dust off the idols, right? Because they're dusting off a paperweight, Lillian. They're dusting off a shtick stain. How do you say that in English? A shtick stain. A piece of stone. That's it, what?
If they're muta because there's nobody around worshiping.
Right.
They don't have to deface them.
That's right. That's the big Chiddush Chazon Ish. Because the Rambam says you have to deface them. The Chazon Ish is saying a bigger Chiddush. Right? Chazon Ish is giving a bigger Chiddush. That if there's no one around worshiping them, even if you don't deface them, they become what? They become muteres. Okay? Now, how do we mevatel avodah zarah today? Want to take a course? Let's say there is avodah zarah today, like the fat boy, Buddhist. He still worship, right? Yeah. The fat boy, he still worship, right, David? So that's still an idol today. That's right. Buddha. Right? So how do we mevatel avodah zarah today? The Har Tzvi, you see that Rivka, the last source on the page, Tzvi Pesach Frank, Zechat Shalig Avracha. You have that Shalos V'Tshuvas Har Tzvi in the Yoredeya. See that? Shalos V'Tshuvas Har Tzvi, Yoredeya. Achvei Iyun B'divrei Halev Aryeh Pshitelei the Bittel Avodah Zarah Tzurach Lios B'Yadayim Dafka. So he seems to argue, Avraham, with the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish says if there's no worker, no one left around to what? Worship, it becomes bottle. Tzvi Pesach Frank, who lived a little bit later than the Chazon Ish, he says, no, it seems to be that in order to cancel avodah zarah, a goy has to do a physical act like break off the nose. Yesh l'tama Mishnah, right? The Mishnah says that what? In avodah zarah, a getchke that was abandoned by its worshippers, b'shas shalom moteres. It doesn't say anything that you have to deface it. Mishim the yesh din bittul. Once goyim have abandoned their avodah zarah, in peacetime, even though they didn't chip it off or deface it, David, it has a din like bittul. What does bittul mean? Self-nullification or cancel. V'hu kan loy nasa shemaisa shel bittul. How does it work, Avraham? Your question. How does the Mishnah say it becomes canceled? The goy didn't do no physical act of canceling. How does it, what is this, a legal fiction here? How does the Mishnah of Avodah Zarah, page 53 says, if goyim abandon Avodah Zarah peacetime, even though it's not defaced, it automatically turns into what? A piece of stone. How does it work? Physically, it didn't get damaged. You hear what he's asking? Right? So anyway, what does he come out with here at the end? Right? So he comes out in the end. See the last line? You heard it's underlined. V'kol zeh muchach. Yiddish? V'kol zeh muchach. From all of this, the lebittel ain't strichen lemaise bittel. You hear? What a tremendous heter. That even if the idol is whole, Chava, it's complete. Hashena getchke. Right? You don't need to do any physical act in order to what? To cancel it. Elo umdana al machshavtoi. What does that mean, Rivka? Umdana al machshavtoi. You estimate on his machshava shumavatel ota. K'moy bittul chometz. It's like bittul chometz. Wow. B'teilahi. Sounds like a baskol. Sounds like a heavenly voice.
What was that?
A heavenly voice.
Is it idol?
Baskol, no. So the bottom line is what? Take a look here. Right? The kol zeh muchach. Ain't the bittul ain't shrichen ma'ase bittul. In order to cancel avodah zarah, a non-Jew doesn't have to do a physical act. If he does a physical act, is noch besser. How do you say that in English? Better. But even if he doesn't, elo umdana al machshavto shumavataloto. We estimate that his machshava, since he abandoned it, he left it, and certainly if he left it defaced, betelahi, it's now like what? Nothing. It's bottle. It's not a piece of stone. V'ein ba isha shavodah zarah. Listen to this. And it has no prohibition for a getchka. V'hotra b'hana. So we have superstars achronim. Yehuda Lev. We have the great Tzvi Pesach Frank, Zechat Shalig Avracha, and we have the Chazon Ish. Both very super Haredi rabbis, Shelley. Both say that the getchkes in the Israel Museum are like a piece of stone. They are canceled because they're defaced, and even if they're not defaced, there's no one left alive that what? That worships them. So therefore, they're mutar bahana, right? And you can what? Go view them. And a worker is permitted to what? To dust them off. It's not, because the problem is when he dusts them off, he bows down in front of them. I've seen the workers, they bow down to clean off the getchke. Aren't they bowing in front of an idol? No. It's like they're bowing in front of a paperweight. Sarah, isn't that wonderful? Right? It doesn't matter. Worship of Avodah Zarah doesn't matter what your attention is. You bow down in front of an idol, doesn't matter what your attention is. But this is not an idol, this is a paperweight. Number one is the face. 3, heterim. Let's review, Ruvain. First of all, you see the face. Amazing, someone defaced to see the ear and nose. Amazing, the guy wants to learn the Rambam, who went around defacing them. Let's hope he's a goy. And number 2, there's nobody left to worship then. The Chazon Ish says clearly that any avodah zarah that belongs to a goy, that it's left without any worshippers, muteres. So all of these idols today, Yehuda, except for the Buddha, nobody worships them, so it's not a problem. So it's canceled by itself. The problem is a modern avodah zarah, like a Buddha, that the workers are proud, that you can't see because people still worship that.
What about crosses?
What about crosses?
Aren't they idols? Just a cross? You see those in museums?
Well, cross, there are many people that worship the cross, so that is an idol. Good point, Elisheva. So people that worship the cross, right? So it's an idol, so therefore what? But they don't worship the cross, they worship the guy on the cross, right? What?
People go, there must be many of them, tourists who go to India, to Burma, to Thailand.
Right.
They wouldn't be allowed to visit the temples.
That's right, because very good, because those avodah zarahs are still active.
Exactly.
They still have many Hasidim. Those Getchkes never still have many modern day Hasidim. What? The same with the Vatican. Baruch Hashem, everybody agrees that Christianity for Yidden is avodah zarah. Moshe, everybody agrees that Christianity for Yidden is avodah zarah. So for us, the Vatican is 100% avodah zarah. You couldn't go there into a church because that's mamish an active avodah zarah, right? Rabbeinu Tam says that for Goyim, for them, Christianity is not avodah zarah because since they believe in God and they also believe in the Trinity, so for them, it's not avodah zarah. For us it is, for them it's not. Rambam disagrees. The Rambam says that even Christianity for non-Jews is also considered avodah zarah. But Rabbeinu Tam seems to have a strong raya, Ruvain. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Who are you talking to? Jews. We are obligated to believe in the absolute unity of the one, nothing else. Goyim are not capable. They're not able to wrap their heads around that. As long as they believe in God, so it's enough for them, says Rabbeinu Tam. Rambam disagrees, yes?
Yeah, Rabbi, everything is wrong mostly with the abandonment of the idols.
Right.
Smacks of Yush.
What?
Of Yush.
How does bittul work? How does bittul work?
Is there a relationship there between, like if you abandoned money and you gave up hope of never getting it, a person...
You're asking good. I think you make it hefker. You make it hefker. So since it's been abandoned, and nobody worship it, it reverts to its status. What was it before? A piece of stone or a piece of wood. So it reverts to halachic, it reverts to its original status. There's no one around anymore that worships it, so it reverts to its original status, okay? But the many active avodah zarah, like the Dr. Chaim Elio was saying, right? The people go to India, it's strictly prohibited to go in there because those avodah zarahs are still Yehuda very much active, right? Yes?
I want to ask a question, but I just want to make a statement.
Go ahead.
It could well be the difference between Rabbeinu Tam and the Rambam is that Rabbeinu Tam lived in a Catholic country.
Right, we mentioned.
Whereas
The doctor mentioned that.
grew up in a pagan country, then a Muslim.
The Rambam lived in a Muslim country.
Yeah, but before that it was Spain. I think it was pagan at the time.
Okay.
That's my statement. Not my question.
Okay.
About a second level, for example, There's a store in Philadelphia that sells vestments for Catholic priests and things of that nature, right? And it happens to be owned by a Jew.
Well, J.C. Penney is one of our boys, right?
What if you're selling things to be used in a Catholic church, for example?
So that's a very good question. Are you oivel lifnei iver l'siten michshol?
Could you repeat the question?
The question is, can a Jew sell crosses and crucifix
Oh, in his jewelry store.
in the jewelry store to non-Jews?
Moses' own son did.
Moses' own... That's a good question. Shulchan Aruch deals with that question. Can a Jew has a jewelry store, or any store, can a Jew sell incense knowing they'll burn it in a church? Can a Jew sell crucifix, know that they'll worship it in the church? Can a Jew sell these items, classic incense, which they burn in churches for Avodah Zarah? Can a Jew sell it to a non-Jew? David. Now the question of lifnei iver lo titen michshol. Now they have keep the 7, go to heaven. Now again, according to the Rambam, a Jew would not allowed to sell crosses and incense, knowing they'll use it in the church, because even for goyim that's considered what? Avodah Zarah. So a Jew cannot help a non-Jew transgress one of his 7. Just like lifnei iver lo siten michshol. Just like I cannot sell wine to a Nazir. Can I sell wine to a Nazir? No. I'm putting a stumbling block in front of the blind. So therefore I cannot give Eiver min Achai to a non-Jew, right? I can't give Eiver min Achai to a non-Jew, right? He can't eat Eiver min Achai, and also I can't sell crosses and burning incense to a non-Jew if that's called idolatry for Christians, right? So the Rambam's opinion is it would not be allowed. But according to what? The Rabbeinu Tam and the Ramah, for Goyim that's not called Avodah Zarah. For Goyim it's not called Avodah Zarah. So therefore, Avraham, what? A non-Jew would be able to sell the vestments.
I follow the Shita.
I follow the Rabbeinu Tam Shita. There's a sign in the window. The Jewish, I follow Rabbeinu Tam Shita, kosher for Goyim. Follow Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam, Avodah Zarah Daf Gimel, says clearly Christianity is not Avodah Zarah for Goyim. So according to that, he would be able to sell it. And the Beis Yosef, who paskins like the Rambam, says that even according to the Rambam, that Christianity is Avodah Zarah for what? For non-Jews. He says, if you're not the only store in town selling these items, then a Jew can sell it to a non-Jew. Because he can go to a different store. Lifnei iver is only if he can get the crucifix or the incense anywhere else. So then I'm giving it to him, so I'm causing him to stumble. But if there are other stores in town that sell, so he doesn't have to buy from me, so the Beis Yosef gives a heter, even according to Rabbeinu Tam, that Christianity is Avodah Zarah for Christians. If you're not the only store in town selling the incense, you could sell it to the non-Jew, even though you know he's going to burn it in the church, because, right, if you're not the only supplier, if you're the only supplier, you couldn't do it.
What if all the Jews, all the stores are owned by Jews?
A monopoly, what?
How you going to leave
Lifnei iver. 47th Street. What, the diamond crosses?
That whole street is selling this.
They're selling this cross because either they rely on the Rabbeinu Tam, that Christianity for Christians is not Avodah Zarah. Ramah says clearly in Shulchan Aruch that a Jew is permitted to sell crucifix to non-Jews. The Ramah says clearly, because the Ramah follows whom? Rabbeinu Tam, Ashkenazi, all across, that Christianity for non-Jews is what? Not idolatry. So therefore, there's no problem for me to sell a crucifix to non-Jews, because for them it's kosher. For them you couldn't sell it to a Jew. To a Jew you couldn't sell it because that's idolatry for a Jew. But for a non-Jew it's not idolatry. Ramah says clearly, following Rabbeinu Tam, that a Jew is permitted to sell religious Christian items to non-Jews, because for non-Jews it's not avodah zarah. As long as they believe in God, they can also believe in the Trinity, okay? This is the Rabbeinu Tam and the Ramah and the Meiri, superstar Ashkenazi poskim, against the Rambam, okay? Rabbeinu Ovadia Yosef says that the Sfardim follow the Rambam, that Christianity is avodah zarah for Goyim as well, against the Ramah and Rabbeinu Tam. But everybody agrees, Baruch Hashem, buddy, that Christianity for Yidden is what? Avodah zarah. Baruch Hashem, we all agree on that. Thank God we're on the same page on that, right? Yes?
I heard an amazing story recently about a religious Jew in California took a business associate out to a kosher restaurant for lunch, and they ordered, and there was wine there,
Manischewitz?
No. And the non-Jewish guy was curious. He asked the Jewish guy, the religious guy, I understand, why is anything about wine? It's just juice of the grape. Why does it have to be kosher? So the guy sort of tried to be sensitive, explained to him, well, you know, in times gone by, it was used for idolatry, and
they still pour in the church. They still pour wine, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually now stam. You know, he didn't go into.
Yeah.
So the guy said yes, because he said so for pagans would use it for their rituals, and so therefore the rabbis prohibited wine that was made by non-Jews at the river. So the guy was very intelligent and said to him, yeah, but there aren't any pagans anymore. So the waiter was who was at that moment standing at the table said, excuse me, I take great offense to that. I'm a pagan.
A pagan, right? We found one live one, right? Yeah.
So is there a hint for, it gives us a three-part question, but for these diplomatic visits to the Vatican, for instance, or religious leadership, or even college students, educational students.
Going into the Vatican? But even these, when the Rabbi Lau went there, he didn't go into the, he met them in the office. He didn't go see the Pope in the church. He met in the private quarters. No, you can't go into the church. When the dignitaries meet the Pope, they meet him in the office. And there are no getchkes around. The Pope is sensitive for that. I read about that.
Political leadership.
Well, they're not religious, but if they're religious, they would not be able to meet them unless the office doesn't have any getchkes there, yes?
What about Rabbi Sachs going into the church when it came to the marriage of the royal couple?
I don't know about that.
Not Catholic, first of all.
Well, there are crosses.
There are no crosses there, maybe. Maybe there, but if they have no crosses there, no J.C. Penney pictures.
You know, the Methodists, they have a cross.
What?
We would go, in my area.
Yeah.
They bought the land for us because they wouldn't sell to Jews.
Right.
So every Thanksgiving, they would cover up, and this is Presbyterian, they would cover up their cross.
Because?
When we would come in.
Very nice of them. They're sensitive, yeah.
Seriously?
They would cover up, right? Yeah.
And then they would come to us the next year.
What?
I'm just going to change the subject to drop it. A Jew selling non-kosher meat and benefiting from...
That's lifnei iver. He could sell non-kosher meat to a guy, but he's not allowed to sell to a Jew, because then it's like giving a Nazir a glass of wine, right? What? You're allowed to benefit from non-kosher, Rivka. You just can't eat non-kosher. You're allowed to benefit from non-kosher. It's not cheeseburgers. One. Basa v'chalav is worse. See, basa v'chalav is osa b'hana. But regular non-kosher is not osa b'hana. But basa v'chalav, cheeseburgers, is osa b'hana. You can't even give a cheeseburger to your dog. Now, the dog is not Jewish. But you can't give a cheeseburger to your dog. Because if you're giving him cheeseburger, you're getting hana. You don't have to buy him alpo. You can't derive benefit from meat and milk cooked together. So even though the dog is not Jewish, you are giving him the cheeseburger, Abraham, you're saving yourself, you don't have to buy him alpo. So you're deriving benefit. You're not allowed to derive benefit from meat and milk cooked together. Unlike regular non-kosher, you are allowed to derive benefit. Yes? Yes?
concentrated occasion when the rabbis going up the wall.
Yeah.
Westminster Abbey is very representative.
He went, I know they had Getchkes there, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, thank you very much.